happened last night?
Okay, so we're coming around to the area where Vincent Fox was speaking at the auditorium, and they have the main crosswalk is right in front of the auditorium to get to the other side where everyone's protesting. So we walked down to that area because the crossing guard wasn't giving people time to cross the street at the other crosswalk because people were coming at such a fast rate. So he was directing traffic through the crosswalk. So we decided to cross the big one. So we're walking down to cross to the big one, and people started chanting, and it's on video. You can find it later when we go through it with NLG and stuff. So basically they're chanting. We get to the breach of, like, I don't know, whatever building is before the auditorium and the auditorium, and we're stopped on the sidewalk, and the police tell people, like, to stop, and then one officer, I said, like, oh, excuse me, and the officer waves me forward, so I passed the officer and went through, and I was getting ready to turn around to say, like, what kind of racist shit is this, you know, and as I like go through, he suddenly like yells out, like, whoa, stop, and so I'm, standing there wondering why he's, like, yelling me stop, knowing I have Zapatista flyers in my hand, so he's like, oh, one of the protesters, and I let her through because she looks white, and so so I stand there, I want to know under what charge, why the sidewalk's closed, blah, 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 too many questions, so he just tells me, get back, starts shoving me, starts pulling me, and I just ask what, under what charge, what ordinance, blah, blah, and then, so then I'm arrested because he says it doesn't matter, I'm getting arrested, and then passes me off to another officer who then informs me of the trespassing charge. It's like a 310 for private property, or like, being in a place you're not supposed to be, in a public place. I need to look that one up because that's not what I ended up with. When I got into booking, I ended up with causing a riot, and they told me at first it was a felony. Throughout the whole booking, they told me I was convicted of charged with a felony. I would be kept until Friday, blah, 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 and that they would, charge us all with similar things. They told me that they were charging my friend with that, and then he ended up being charged for, like, an assault of a police officer, and they're just trumping up the charges and changing them, and so, or telling people one thing and they're signing other things, and they're not, so we're all trying to figure out what everybody's charged with. But long story short, I was released with the misdemeanor cite out, and all my other friends are still in jail.
What was the charge that you...
I got a misdemeanor for causing a riot and destruction of property.
But all you were doing was walking?
Yeah, all I was doing was walking in front of the Pasadena City Auditorium, which I was waved on, like, in contrast to the group around me, I was waved on to go through, and then he contradicted that when he saw that I had Zapatista protest flyers in my hand. So arrested me as like a form of, like, this is what happens if you go past our line, kind of a thing. And then across the street, which I wasn't privy to that because I was doing my own thing, some of the people became louder and started yelling, and then I saw police on top of a friend of mine, so I'm just, like, looking at police on top of people, pushing people back, and then it was all blamed on me. It was not my fault. So, so it was all blamed on me, but the people that it was my fault they're in jail are still in jail, and I'm out because I guess I'm white, I have a mom that calls, shit like that, so, yeah.
Wow. So did you see any other police brutality or anything?
I saw police shoving people repeatedly back towards the end of the sidewalk. I saw people, yelling back at police, like, this is police brutality, like, take your hands off him, repeatedly was yelled by the crowd, and the police didn't respond, kept, like, putting people to the ground, and then arresting them as a justification, I think, and charging them with things like assault of a police officer and resisting arrest, and, the normal Occupy charges that are put towards, like, political resistors and protesters in all forms. But I think, so that was all I really saw. They put me in the car soon afterwards. They made it seem like, they asked me if I'd ever been arrested. I was like, no, and they were like, oh, well, you want to be arrested? And I was like, no. Like, what do you, no. And then, so they, like, kept asking maybe they were going to let me go at first, and then the situation escalated towards the other side, and then they just put me in the car as soon as that happened, and they actually drove me over to the other side, and so I was able to see a lot of like how they like sat on people like to subdue them or whatever. But I mean, it was like Benji and things like, you know. Anytime that you put your hand up to block someone from hitting you, that can be considered assault of a police officer. If it looks like you're going to assault them, you know, and like attempting to assault a police officer, like there's all sorts of things that go on. That's how it works. So who knows? But the bottom line is that they're in jail with misdemeanor charges still. Like some of the assault of the police officers are misdemeanors, which is weird.
Doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. And so they could be cited out, but they're not. So yeah, we need to call the jail and request why they can't be cited out, and whether it's because they're not white at 626-744-4616, and ask for people by name. Ulysses Hernandez, Alex Torres. We have still in there Benji Torres. I'm not sure if he's being held there right now. We have conflicting information on that. And then Brian Connolly. So.
Okay. Brian Connolly was at Fort Hernandez, Fort Lucero this morning. There's two Brian Connollys?
Yeah.
Okay. Was there any dispersal order given?
To me?
Did you hear any dispersal order?
There was no blatant dispersal order. There was this is private property mentioned because it's being reserved, because actually this is government, like they recognized that it was government property. They were like, it's being reserved, but this is all after the fact of I was detained.
And then just to rewind a little bit, when you went there, what were you expecting? Why did you go there?
I went to the Zapatistas protest because of what happened throughout Mexico in the Chiapas massacre, and I know that, you know, governments are often complicit and don't bring people to accountability for massacres that happen within their borders, and I knew that was what was going on. So I was there in support of the Zapatistas in their feminist movement, in their totality of their liberation of people and their ideology. But hey, Quasi. And I was also there to see a screening. We were going to go see a screening of the Zapatistas film for me to get educated, because all I know is the historical facts, what's going on, what has happened, what will happen, you know, with them.
I mean, I thought it was the film. I thought that's why I didn't go.
Well, I think, I mean, often we have to, you know, do these in conjunction with educational events so that people that are skeptical can learn, so that people that don't know what we're talking about can learn, and I think that's really important. So that's why the film was emphasized over anything else, because the film was probably the more important thing. But as far as I know, it never happened, because I was arrested and other people started being arrested and brutalized, and then the end kind of a thing. Everybody dispersed.
Is there anything else you want to add?
All power to all people.
Okay. And do you want to share your name and how you spell it?
Me. And I was in jail last night. Solidarity, brother. So we're raising awareness. My name isn't important.
Okay.
But you can, the important thing is to call the jail at 626-744-7616. Yeah, tell them that Dara Glanzer is out with a citation for her misdemeanor, whereas the people that were with her are there with misdemeanor charges, some of them, and not being cited out.
So
and being held there
the
until their court
well-groomed
date.
pretty white girl is out.
Yeah, the well-groomed pretty white girl got out.
Okay.
So tell them to
Thank
get
you.
their calls in. Yeah.
All right.
Fuck Pasadena police.
What